a new movie about the apparitions of Our Lady of Fatima on the Musings. There's a new movie out about the apparitions that took place in Fatima, Portugal, and these apparitions were to three small children. They were the ages of 8, 10, and 7, so they were very young, obviously, and our Blessed Mother appeared to them with some important stuff that affected the modern world. A little history on Fatima. I've actually have been there before. It's a beautiful apparition site. Now there's a beautiful big church there. There's grounds that you can walk around where the apparitions actually took place. And what happened was in 1917, if I'm not mistaken, that was when our Blessed Mother appeared to these three children. Lucia, she was the oldest, Francesco, and Jacinta. And when Our Lady appeared, actually the apparitions prior to Our Lady's, an angel appeared to the three children, and the angel came to them and said, announced himself as, I am the angel of peace, I am the angel of Portugal. And the first time that Jacinta and Francesco received Holy Communion was at the hands of the angel. The angel actually gave them their first Holy Communion, so obviously that's a monumental way to receive communion for the first time. And Lucia had already received, and she also received communion from the angel. The angel talked to them a little bit, spoke with them, and they said the appearance of the angel was more dazzling than that of crystal. And then after that, sometime after that, Our Lady appeared on the 13th of a couple months, and she came to them repeatedly on the 13th of each month, and she made lots of important statements to them. She identified herself as Our Lady of the Rosary, and she also, the apparition in July, on July 13th of 1917, was probably, I guess what some say is the most important of the apparitions. What happened was that they began to have these apparitions. Obviously, people were skeptical in the town. They were put under some persecution. They even had to go, they were put under psychological care to see if there was anything abnormal, which there found to be nothing abnormal about them psychologically, and that even their parents, who were very devout, they were actually intellectual, they were learned, and even they were skeptical about what was taking place to these three children. So as Our Lady appeared, she basically came and said that she wanted to bring peace to the world, and at the third secret of Fatima, that's where she revealed the most of them. When that apparition happened, there were huge throngs that have gathered because word obviously got around that Our Lady was appearing there, and so this multitude of people gathered. And at that apparition, the children were shown a vision of hell. And during this time, the world was immersed in World War I, and there was a persecution of the church all throughout Portugal. And Our Lady promised that there would be an end to this war, World War I. And she did say if their people did not stop offending God, that there would be another more serious war, which obviously was World War II. And Our Lady also asked that Russia be consecrated to the Immaculate Heart of Mary, and that if Russia was consecrated to the Immaculate Heart of Mary, then peace would be brought throughout the world. She also said that as long as Russia was consecrated to the Immaculate Heart, and she established the first Saturday devotions each month, where for 5 months, corresponding with the 5 apparitions of Our Lady at Fatima, on the first Saturday of each month for 5 months, you go to confession, you go to Mass, you pray one decade of the Rosary, and then you also contemplate for 15 minutes on the mysteries of the Rosary. And so that was also given to the children at Fatima on that July 13th apparition. And Our Lady also then showed them a vision where numerous bishops and even priests and even the Pope were being shot, and some were being killed. That's what's called the third secret of Fatima. So that was meant to be kept secret, and that part of the apparitions of Fatima was only made public in the year 2000. At that July 13th apparition, they said there were somewhere over around 70,000 people that had gathered. And as they gathered, there was a miracle that was going to be promised, which was why so many people were there for that event. And so what happened was the sun began to basically, what they say is dance around the sky. It's now called the miracle of the sun. The sun began to dance in the sky. It began to change colors. And then almost horrifically, it seemed like the sun was bolting down to earth. And so people started running. They were scared. They weren't sure what was happening. And so this was actually a report that was in the newspaper in Lisbon after the event. At 1 o'clock in the afternoon, midday by the sun, the rain stopped. The sky, pearly gray in color, illuminated vast arid landscape with a straight line, with a strange light. The sun had a transparent, gauzy veil so that the eyes could easily be fixed upon it. The gray mother of pearl tone turned into a sheet of silver, which broke up as the clouds were torn apart, and the silver sun enveloped in the same gazy gray light, which is seen to whirl and turn in the circle of broken crowds. A cry went up from every mouth, and people fell on their knees on the muddy ground. The light turned a beautiful blue, as if it had come through stained glass windows of a cathedral, and spread itself over the people who knelt with outstretched hands. The blue faded slowly, and then the light seemed to pass through the yellow glass. Yellow stains fell against white handkerchiefs, against the dark skirts of the women. They were repeated on the trees, on the stones, and on the Sarah. People wept and prayed with uncovered heads in the presence of a miracle they had witnessed. The seconds seemed like hours, so vivid were they. Venerable Fulton Sheen, if I can find this quote, he actually said people were so skeptical of this, and of course I'm not going to be able to find that quote. Venerable Fulton Sheen basically said, there were some agnostic journalists who basically said, this was obviously of divine origin. They only prayed that no one would be aware that this was of such divine origin. Not prayed, but wanted to make sure they could do anything to not perceive this as divine origin. So Our Lady continued to appear after that, and she appeared for 5 months to these 3 small children. And kind of corresponding to our times, there was a plague that infected, a pandemic that infected the country after that. And Jacinta and Francesco, they actually died in 1918 because of influenza and the plague. And so there are some corresponding things that happen. The movie, if you go to the website, fatimathemovie.com, you can watch the movie there. It's an absolutely beautiful movie. If you've watched any of these videos, a lot of times when I watch religious movies, I'm usually not expecting too much. This one was done exceptionally well. There are some interesting facets about it. One of the actors, whose name I can't find, of course, he's been in movies with Quentin Tarantino and also Martin Scorsese, so he's obviously been influential. One of the co-writers of it was someone who was, helped with The Passion of the Christ, Joan of Arcadia, and some other influential religious movies. So the movie is done exceptionally well. There are a couple theaters in New Jersey you can see it at. You can also rent it, which was how I saw it. You can basically rent it on almost anywhere. Apple TV, Xfinity, Fandango Now, Google Play. You can rent it on YouTube, Verizon, Microsoft, DirecTV, Spectrum, Dish, Redbox, PlayStation, Optimum, and I'm sure there's many other places you can go. On the website, they also have testimonies from Cardinal O'Malley of Boston, Archbishop Gomez of Los Angeles, Archbishop Wensky of Miami, Archbishop Lurie of Baltimore. So there's a lot of obviously a lot of even influential church leaders have spoken about the power of this movie. So it might be a time you can gather with family. I think one way this movie can help is it really does show the innocence of the children who were shown this most miraculous apparition of our Blessed Mother. And so it certainly is a family movie. It's rated PG. Catholic News Service has designated it appropriate for adults and adolescents also. And so it might be, an appropriate time to have a family movie night and watch this powerful apparition of Our Lady at Fatima. There is actually, since the third secret was clouded in secrecy for so long, there is a book, an excellent book in the parish library that you can borrow that talks all about the third secret. And the third secret really went around the fact that Russia had to be consecrated to the Immaculate Heart of Mary so that peace could prevail. That has already happened. Pope John Paul II led the bishops of the world to consecrate Russia and the entire world to the Immaculate Heart of Mary. Sister Lucia herself has said that was a valid consecration. So there's no doubt that that Russia and the world have been consecrated to the Immaculate Heart of Mary. So take some time, watch the movie. It is excellent, and you get this intimate portrayal of these children who were shown this most important vision of our Blessed Mother over a number of months that have affected the modern world ever since. So just some Monday musings on the apparitions of Our Lady of Fatima. Take some time, watch the movie, and see you soon, St. Catherine's.